We're going back, Ethan. We're going way, way back. Like years back.
Back to the future?
Unfortunately, back to the past. Which they kind of did, depending on how you... Wrong show.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not worry about it. I want to show you guys chicken francese, which is a classic dish, which actually francese is French and Italian, so it's the Italian way of doing French chicken. It's just one of those things. It's a fun dish. It's a classic dish. Very simple to make and really, really delicious. Let me show you how to do it. Let's start with our seasoned flour. You could just bread this without seasoning it, but seasoning the flour adds another dynamic of flavor. This is very simple. You can use whatever you like. I'm using all-purpose flour, SPG, a bit of thyme, and a bit of oregano. I do want the dried herbs, not the fresh herbs. That way they don't burn. Sometimes the oils and the herbs can burn. Now mix it in nice and gentle, and you're good to go. Now the second part of breading is to get rid of your shells. The second part is the egg. I'm just using 2 eggs here, but here's a fun little kicker. A little bit of saltiness for flavor and for color, a bit of grated Parmesan into those whipped eggs. It gives us a chance to add another dynamic of flavor. That's what we talk about in the show a lot, adding as much flavor as possible. Throw a saute pan onto your griddle top, add a bit of oil, get it nice and hot before we add the chicken. Now I'm gonna dredge in the flour first, right? I want a light dredging. That just means a little light coating of the herby seasoned flour. Then we go into our egg. This is like a 2-part, right? So you could do the egg first and then the flour, how most people do it, but I'm doubling up because I want the extra crunch. So I'm going from the egg back into the flour, giving me that double crust. Use your hands if you want to. If you don't want to, use your tongs like this. We just don't want to be messy. You can always do the trick where you use one hand is for the dry ingredients, one hand is for the wet ingredients, but using your tongs is just fine as well. So do it one more time. A light dredging in the flour, the seasoned flour, then into the egg, get it coated on all sides, then back into the flour to make sure all of that breading sticks. It's going to give us a beautiful crust later on. Now our oil should be nice and hot. It should be nice and bubbly when we add our chicken. Go ahead and throw those in and we'll get to the rest. Now this is both going to be for flavor and for garnish. I'm going to take some fresh lemons and do some pretty thin slices. The thin slices are going to give us a more fun flavor later because we're going to crisp them up a little bit. Now I've got some green beans. I love getting the fresh green beans, but you do have to trim them a little bit. There's something fun about this part. I mean, you could buy the ones that you just throw in, but that extra little bit of like tender love and care with our beans is really, really nice. So trim them off until they're perfect. Now when we flip, we should see that golden, crispy, beautiful crust. Right? That's what I'm talking about. Now we can go with our lemons. Put these in the pan to give me some flavor to crisp it up, but also to flavor some of that oil so that the natural oils in the lemon come out and flavor the chicken, as well as getting the sugars crispy for our garnish later. Those are going to go right on top. They're really lovely, really beautiful, and they soften up a bit because of the heat. Lemon and chicken are magical together. If you're not doing it, you're missing out. Pull those off, let them rest. These are finished, but we don't want to... We just want to let them rest for just a second, let them chill out a bit. Now on the other side of our griddle, let's add a bit of olive oil and our green beans. These don't have to go a long time. One of the worst things you could ever do is overcook your green vegetables. They get mushy and they're no fun. Now back to the pan, there's some fond left over, little bits of flavor. I'm gonna add a good bit of white wine, a little bit of bone broth, and this is gonna start to reduce and create our sauce. It's lovely and elegant, and the aroma's unbelievable. For later for garnish, let's go ahead and do just a bit of chive. If you don't use chive very often, it's kind of like green onion, but it's prettier, it's smaller, it's a bit more elegant. Here you can use any bread that you like. I have a beautiful seeded sourdough, which I'm a huge fan of. This is just for garnish. I like to have a little bit of starch in there. Let's finish the sauce before we get to the bread. Butter and flour. This is kind of like a traditional style doing a roux. This is going to thicken everything up. Keep stirring to get rid of all the clumps. We want this smooth and creamy and beautiful. And then at the very end, that's when we add our chives. If we add them too soon, they lose their color. You'll get a lot of flavor out of them, but they lose their color. Let's go ahead and toast the bread lightly. I don't want crunchy croutons here, but I do want a nice little light toast. Let's go down with our green beans, a little bit of char in there. That's the magic. These were not on long. Like they still have a crunch. That's what you want. Don't turn them to mush. Please, whatever you do, don't turn your green vegetables into mush. Then we can go with our chicken. You can already start to like see it coming together. It's beautiful. And that gorgeous, stunning sauce over the top. Also, use that sauce for other stuff. You don't have to use it for this only. This is one of those dishes. It's like, it's classic, it's traditional, and I did it. And look how gorgeous. It's so fun.
So let's recap. Simple, easy, delicious. That wasn't a recap, Ethan. That was just me saying words.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys could hear him. This is what I'm talking about. Hang on.
I'm hanging.
So delicious. Crispy, crunchy, still very juicy and tender, but the lemon, the white wine, like that sauce, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Not a whole. Also, please, oh please, don't overcook your green beans. Can you hear the crunch?
Yes.
A little bit of crunch. Mandatory in green beans. Remember you used to like go to like a potluck at church on a Sunday evening and someone brought green beans? They were mushy.
No, but the mashed potatoes was
Mushy? The mashed potatoes are mushy?
Yeah.
So weird, Ethan. The whatever, you know what I'm saying. Hey, try some fun stuff. Try some classics. It's just a way for us to take our skill level, just understanding what used to be, what we can do ahead of time, or what we can do in the future. Having all those individual skills makes us a much better cook in the end, so we get to play and break the rules and do all kinds of other fun stuff. Thank you again so much for hanging out. Let me know down in the comments, do you guys like some of these classic dishes? Would you like to see more of them? Let me know what you would like to see down in the comments below. But this is Cook, Eat, Repeat, where we like to help you become a better cook one recipe at a time. I'm your host, Chef Nathan Lippy, and I will see you all in the next episode.